Hello everyone. Not so long ago I bought a brand new MacBook Pro 14-inch with basic configuration. I had high hopes on his iGPU because I sometimes like to play.
Bruh.
At the time of purchase I was actively playing Minecraft with high-tech mod pack. And after transferring my world I was unpleasantly surprised by the performance, but I had to put up with it. After a few weeks I remembered about such a wonderful game as Terraria. I've played it over 300 hours and I have something to say about this. Therefore you can listen my words, I know what I'm talking about. I must say right away that the test result was very unexpected and ambivalent. I will show you different stands and situation in the game so that you can see how the FPS will change. And you will be able to draw your own conclusions. The whole process was a fully charged plugged-in MacBook, not in power saving mode. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a good overlay monitoring for macOS Monterey, therefore we can only see FPS on screen. But I can say that on average the load on system on chip was about 20-30% all time of the testing. Let's start with menu, in which we see a stable 16 FPS. And I couldn't remove 16 lock. If you know how to do this, please write in the comments. The whole game was played in full screen mode in 1512 on 982. Notice that this is less than Full HD. First of all we will create a new player and a new world in which there will be no buildings and NPCs. We also can see a stable 16 frames. Go on a journey. And even during combat, FPS remains stable and very playable. So it may seem that you can start building a house and evolve your world. But we have one interesting moment. I will enter one of my old worlds. Certainly not the character at first. Let's go for the right one. And what do we see now? About 20 FPS. In a scene with a lot of decals we can see an only stable 20 FPS. And I want to draw your attention to the fact that during the post-production the number of frames aligned to 16. Because of this, in the record, game seems to be just low, while on my screen I see a real lags.
Bruh.
And the using of my legendary Zenith doesn't affect the FPS in any way. Opening the map instantly raised to the 16. We teleport to the jungle house and see that our cherished frames are returning. Let's go back to the home. You can notice such an interesting moment. Our ship creates a lot of effects, which is why the use of ships instantly reduces FPS to 15. Okay, go back to the house on the surface. Of course, go through the cemetery. And as soon as pieces of the house begin to fall into the frame, the FPS drop again to an unpleasant 20. Change setting to the minimum possible. This doesn't affect the FPS in any way. But as soon we move into the zone to protect against invasion, the FPS keep at maximum, even if we turn all the traps. Take a right on the card, FPS doesn't change. We see that in the house with the size, the FPS remains maximum. Farm of Soul of the Night, everything is fine. The same situation in the Farm of Soul of the Light. Next we go to visit the Golem. Passing through the underground hard mode jungle. The first bad Plantera farm and the second good Plantera farm, with the place to spawn the fruits of life. I saw a Plantera flower and just decided to kill her. And then I accidentally switched the language layout to my native Russian. That is why the AK stopped working and I couldn't move. During the battle, FPS will drop to 35. Let's go through the dungeon at 14-16 FPS. And in the end we will realize that we forgot the batteries. Then I remembered my underwater base and decided to teleport there. Here is the FPS remains just as good at 55 frames per second. What conclusion can we draw? I have always loved to build a huge house in Terraria where all the inhabitants would live. But M1 Pro is not able to give a comfortable FPS when there are a lot of small details on screen, such as chests, torches and other things. You can comfortably play in Terraria on M1, but only if you don't build a huge fortress. In order for the FPS to remain high, you need to separate all your buildings and NPCs into many small bases that you could see from me. Thank you for watching, leave your opinion in the comments, and I will say that I tried to run Terraria via crossover with a DirectX sublayer, and the FPS there was from 4 to 15 even in the lightest stance.